Hi everyone, I am late for the weekly wrap-up, but for good reasons. I've been on webinars most of the day. One was a Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries roundtable about the bird flu and how it's affecting sanctuaries and what protocols can go into place at sanctuaries to make it safer for both the animals and the people. And then also I was, excuse me, hi squirrels, I was on a safety meeting on keeper safety and how you put more engineering and administrative controls in place to make it safer when working with apex predators and red zone animals. So sorry I'm late this week, but as you know, safety is our number one strategic anchor here at the sanctuary, and that means for both animals and people. And so I always try to do continuing education on those elements and forward those to the team as well, because we can always continue to be learning. The good news is some of the stuff that we see that the larger zoos are adapting and kind of coining out there are things that sanctuaries have always done, similar to double checks, double locks, things like that. But you can still always learn, and then when you realize that you're ahead of the game because of the amazing staff and what they've recommended, you know, it's nice to pat them on the back too for already being ahead of what some of the industry is already doing. So updates for this week. First, I want to say thank you for those that have contributed to the well fundraiser. Trying to get funding for a new water well and a water source here at the sanctuary is not as glamorous as a rescue or a vet day or medical care, but it is a lifeline to the cats at the sanctuary. Not only for the new area, Cattail Creek, that we built last year that doesn't have any water or hydrants to it. That's our main goal, is to get water to that area. For daily watering, for pools, things like that, and that the sanctuaries aren't, or the sanctuary staff isn't having to just drag over gallons and gallons of water buckets and things like that. But also because we have the same well that is through the 40 acres, and it was the same well that was here when I moved here in 2006, and the only thing on the property was a single wide 1970 trailer that I lived in for many years, and one pole building. And that's what that well serviced. And think of all the animal buildings we've put in, all the tiger pools we've put in, and that still is the same well servicing this entire infrastructure. So we really needed another well that's going to be 200 to 240 feet deep. So that will get the water pressure up. So then when Alyssa is cleaning feline meadows, Jackie isn't complaining that she can't fill pools in wild woodlands because there's no water pressure. And so that will be really, really good. But more importantly is safety. Going back to that safety is we need fire suppression. We are in the middle of the woods. We are very rural. We always operate that we're going to have to be our first responders. And so having more pressure and another well to service the back part of the property is really, really critical. So it is about $20,000 it's going to be for that well and to get the water line to Cattail Creek. So right now we're about half of our goal. We're really hoping that with your help and other people's help that we can reach that goal and not have to take it out of our savings. So thank you for everyone that's donated so far. I really appreciate it. Some industry news. I saw a post earlier today from a very large sanctuary that had announced they had closed their Texas facility and moved all their animals to their Colorado facility. And if you guys think back, we took in 2 ocelots and 2 Asian leopard cats earlier this year. We were not aware of that time that they came from that Texas facility when we agreed to take them. But of course they're here with us now and we give them a lifelong home. I do know other animals from that Texas site went to other places, and I believe the large carnivores went, stayed with that sanctuary and moved. But, you know, usually we don't take in rehoming efforts from another sanctuary, or if we do, really told about that up front. So that announcement today kind of shook me a little bit because the 4 cats we have did come from that facility, and my heart goes out to anybody that does not, no longer at the job at that Texas sanctuary. And we're just going to continue to give the best home possible we can to the 4 residents that came from that situation. Also, a lot of moves happened this week. I told you last week about some of the moves that were going to be happening here, mostly for small cats. So the caretakers worked and did operant conditioning with Brianna, the bobcat, who had lived with Ramsey down in Cougar Cove. And she's always lived with somebody, whether it was Stelter before he passed. And so we wanted her to be, hopefully have friends again. So we put her in the outside yard of Wildcat Pines, where Luna and Claude are. And Luna and Claude are here, and Brianna's in the outside yard. And they're doing some communal feeding along the shared wall and things like that to see what the dynamics will be and if we can ensue a play date. So of course, if you're a sponsor parent, we will give you an update once there is a play date or a merger. But so far, just the move has happened. Also, Bella had been in a quarantine area, Bella the bobcat, because of her mentation and her age, but she's been doing so much better that she moved down to Cougar Cove. And so she's in a free roaming habitat again and doing well. So we'll continue to monitor her, and if she has to move back to a smaller enclosure, if she has more mentation issues, we will definitely do that, but we're happy that she can be out and about. We are actually moved Topper, the Bengal, out of Catio Town because he was having some big issues and not happy with his neighbors on a shared wall out in Catio Town. So he's back out in a bungalow, in a yard, in a heated area all himself, and the caretaker says he's doing great. Puma the Bengal is going to be moving next door to him. They are not on a shared wall because both of them want to be the only animal all the time. But they will at least have stimulation from each other about 10 feet away. So that allowed us to move the Highlander kittens, Mama Bear and her 6 kittens, into Catio Town. And we put this, I should say the caretakers put up shade cloths. They made all these adjustments for them, thinking that because they were rescued from that 5x5 kennel, and then after that they were in the enclosed room in the welcome center, that open space and seeing across might be too overwhelming for them. Well, they proved us wrong. They proved us they didn't need a shade cloth. They love their new room. Walking in, they're actually in the log cabin room. Walking in, Katie saw Mama and all the kittens curled together on that big fluffy chair. So they've been adorable and had a lot of energy. Since they moved in, Coco and Sine, the Savannahs, who used to be in the log cabin, moved out to a bungalow again with a larger yard. And we really talked to the caretakers about that, and they thought that would be best. I love having them in Catio Town, but the volunteers can't go in with them. The interns, their caretaker only, can't go in with them. And so we wanted Catio Town to be where more people could go and spend time with cats. So they moved. Ashes the Bengal is moved into Catio Town. So you'll kind of see, it's funny when you walk down, Ashes is in the room now that Topper was in. And they look so much alike. I think if there wasn't a name sign and we didn't know the personalities, we could do a live post in there and none of you would know it wasn't Topper in there anymore. It was just Ashes. So as you know, a lot of these moves happen because we're reading their personalities. Cats are aging, or they have health issues and then they get better, or they don't like their neighbors. They can be picky. And so things are never static quo here, or status quo, I should say. They're never static or status quo. It's really about reading the animals, listening to the animals, and seeing what they need next. And if we do these moves and a cat is not happy, or if Toppers doesn't like where he is, guess what? We're gonna move again. That's just what we do here. So that's been a lot of fun to see. But so far, all the moves, all the reports from the caretakers have been that they're doing really, really well. I saw that beautiful picture of Mansa was posted earlier today on our Facebook page, And that was probably during the sun a little ways ago. Mansa has a stomach ache today, and there's been some vomit they found in the room, mostly bile, and so they've locked her in. We had a few other cats that have had some, high squirrels have had some stomach aches. So we don't know if it were, like we talked about, we're looking at if it was because of all the sanitation we've been doing because of the bird flu, that if maybe that's making them not feel good, or if there's just something going around. We're not too worried yet. It seems that when a cat has a little bit of the stomach upset, it's lasting about 48 hours and they're back to themselves. But we're still trying to pinpoint what's going on and what's going around. So I'll keep you posted. The other thing, and I can't, I don't remember if I talked to you all about it or if I was talking on site with somebody, but we were really kind of looking at how do we better each area, come here squirrels, each area for all the cats. And that includes a short-term and long-term plan. And that means luckily we've had pretty mild winters the last couple of years, but when we did have extreme winters and some of our cats are tending to spend more indoor time, we've done everything from bringing in the TVs, the mirrors, painting the rooms bright, putting in the howdy door, like between Shazam and his neighbors so he can see. But now we're looking at giving more rooms to cats. So we can't build bigger buildings right now, but we do know the demand for big cat placement isn't what it used to be, which is good, but we still have a lot of cats that are going to be needing homes out there. But a lot of sanctuaries have built or have capacity. So the Wildcat Sanctuary, unless it's a very special reason, will probably allow a network to have other sanctuaries accommodate cats if they have the space. And that will allow us some time to take a single habitat, make it bigger, and give those animals more indoor space and dynamic indoor space for the winter. Because we have some young tigers. We have Thor and Indy and Dash and Nova, and they really are using their space. So if we can give them more, that would be great. We also know they're running crazy, and we had made our guillotine openings to our building about 2 by 2.5 feet to keep the buildings warmer. And that's worked great for those cats that know to walk nicely into their building. But these young guys that are so excited and so rowdy, going in and out, we don't want them to hit their backs. And even though we haven't seen a big injury or anything, I'm worried about the chronic injury if they're hitting their back because they're not taking their time to go in. So we're looking at investing in opening all of those guillotine doors taller, which means cutting apart cement buildings, creating new guillotines, all new guillotines, steel guillotines. It's a big expense, but I think it's going to benefit our cats for the long term, and then it'll benefit those cats that are really old, like when Mohan was, or how big Tarek and Noah are, and we've accommodated and made bigger openings there. So that's going to be a huge project underway, and that we'll ask your support for over the summer to just accommodate those animals better. But then guess what? When we open those building guillotines and have to cut the holes build bigger in the buildings, we're going to lose more heat in the winter, which means we're going to add incremental heat to the in-floor heat to make sure they stay warm. So these are the projects that I talk about now, because there's a lot of them over the next year or two that are not as glamorous as Catio Town, but wow, when we look at what the individual animals need and what we think will make their lives better, that's what I think is really, really important, that we continue to do that individualized care and do everything we can to make every animal here have the best life, the most comfortable life possible. So that'll be fun to do for the facilities team. And so this little girl makes it hard to work because all Squirrels wants to do is be held half the time. And just looking forward to spring, because it hasn't been an extreme winter here but it's been kind of going up and down. So I know when we get snow melts and then snow and freeze again, you get a lot of icy spots, and that's not only for our staff, but they're taking care of those icy spots for cats that are older, like Noah the cougar, Noah the tiger, that might slip, and we don't want them to get hurt. So still a lot of progress going on, and just looking forward to what the next few months bring. We're planning, again, some interesting concepts for the new land that we will share over the course of this year as well. And it's just, I just love this girl so much. It's fun planning for the future TWS, but what's really getting kind of fun is as we move on, we have some years that are big pushes, Catio Town, new land, and then we have other years that are more maintenance and those refinement things, but those refinement things are what make us so different than every other sanctuary. It is, again, just fine-tuning their bedrooms, their habitats, their guillotines, safety, their enrichment, their diets, to make sure that each one is an individual and each one is getting exactly, not just what they need, but what they deserve. It's what I like to say, is what they deserve. So thank you for being part of our journey, and thank you, Squirrel, for being part of my live post today, and I will see you all next week.